Okay, okay. Let's see if this is working. Hold on one second. I'm just going to make sure that I am getting audio. I'm actually running this through the Wing this time because I've noticed that the A10 Mini for some reason has a lot of like hiss and noise, which is annoying. But hold on one second. Just gonna make sure there's a lot more latency going through OBS. All right, cool. So I see that we're working. All right. Welcome back to another live stream. Please don't mind my little cuts. My cat decided to jump on my neck today and cut me up. I'm allergic to cats, so it kind of gets me. So this is going to be another live stream. Kind of again doing another kind of user kind of thing. I got a comment on the last one saying it would be nice to see a video setting up vocals with effects, and then does the Wing have MIDI control options and stuff from your DAW? First of all, yes, the Wing does have MIDI control options from your DAW. You have to set that up on your DAW's end. It really depends on how you're going to be doing that. Personally, I don't really do Wing MIDI control stuff because I usually record and mix bands and I do live sound as a front of house engineer. So I don't actually set that up. But I do know that if you go into your MIDI options, what you're going to want to do is select, I think it's Wing control or something like that. And that's going to be able to receive MIDI CC from your DAW. And that's just a quick response to that. I'm actually showing Wing Edit right now. So if I shrink myself over, the way that you activate that would be you go to, I believe it is, it might be remote, General Connect. It actually might not show you on the Wing Edit app, but on the actual Wing itself, you're going to hit where this little icon is. You're going to go to remote, and then that is going to have options on stuff like that. And you're going to want to make sure that all of it is set to USB. Because this is Wing Edit, you don't see any of that because the Wing Edit control is for the X Touch. But yeah, this is able to receive MIDI CC and do everything. I will work on trying to see if I can get a good screen capture of the Wing eventually, or like a camera on the Wing so I can show you that. But the other question was obviously, can I show how you would mix vocals with effects on the Wing? So we're going to be doing that. We actually have several sessions. One of them is actually the session from day one of the Greek Bistro thing that I talked about yesterday. So we just have a very simple, I think it's like 4 or 5 channels. And we're just going to be going out straight into the Wing, and we're going to be mixing that. And then the other session is going to be the live stream that I did at Sound City Studios. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more intricate. We're probably going to have to actually do some mixing on this one. But this one is going to be a little bit more intense. We have a lot more channels, and we are going to be focusing primarily on only the vocals. So I have the session completely blank, and we should be good there. So for now, let's close this session out. We'll start with the Greek Bistro one, and let's just take a listen. So this isn't really my type of music. I personally don't really go for this type of music at all, but it is mixing. So, and this is going to show you how to kind of fix when you have a vocal that's very, very buried in your mix, right? So right here we have our vocal track. I always like to make my vocals, pink, and then I will make my guitars green, and the bouzouki, I'm just calling that a guitar, and then these are keys. These are stereo linked on the Wing, and we'll make these purple. And let's just take a look at Wing Edit. So we're going to go home, and I have 2 layers set up. Layer 1 is channel 1 through 16, and layer 2 is going to be the other session. And we have it set up pretty simply. Our vocals is going to be coming into USB 10. Guitar is next, bouzouki is next, and then there is the stereo keys. So this is just basically some housekeeping stuff. I always like to do this just to make sure that I am properly organizing my session, right? I mean, whenever you're doing anything live, it's very important to be able to see and know what you're doing and when you're doing it. So this is why it's extremely important to do this. We'll give this guy a smiley face. I like the smiley face. Excuse me. Still a little sick. My son really got us all sick. So now we have our 4 channels.
Και κάτω στον Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο.
Oh, cool. Sorry. Forgot that I have solo in place enabled right now. Let me just go to myself, and we're going to make sure that I am solo safe. I forgot where that is. There should be a solo safe option right there. Cool. So now if I, let's say, solo this channel, you should still hear me. Done. Awesome. Beautiful. Okay. So we have our vocal. It's very, very quiet. And if we compare it to everything else, so the first thing we should do is try to do a balance. And it's very easy to do with only 4 channels. And if you are using a band that is mostly tracks, it's going to be super easy because there's nothing really much going on here, right? But one thing that will cause issues is the fact that you're in a live room, right? So one thing that I always recommend you do is you play music back in your system. Play music that you know very well. And when people say music you know very well, don't play like the latest hit that you're listening to every so often. Play something that you've listened to for years in all the garbage systems, all amazing systems, something that you know how it should sound. And then when you're doing that on your matrix for your main outs or even your main out bus, whatever you want, you can then EQ and tune the room to make it sound however you need to sound. Let's say the room is horrible and you need to do this. Make it so that it sounds good. Like everything, music at least sounds good. So that way, whatever sounds bad on the vocal just needs to be tuned on the microphone itself. I always start with doing that because I do not like tuning the microphone to the speakers if the speakers haven't been tuned in a room. In the day 1 of this, which was literally day 1 with only 4 channels or 5 channels, we were using VRXs and it was crazy EQ. But let's listen to this. So we're going to see what we're going to do for the balance. I've turned down the Pizookie and I've kept the guitar up. Let's just take a listen. Now, not the best music. We are going to be switching over to rock in a little bit, but this is just going to show you a worst case scenario. The first thing we're going to want to do for these vocals is really try to do a little bit of isolation. So let's bring them up more and let's listen to it.
Και κάτω στον Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον Άγιο. Μα έκανα υπομονή και κουράγιο. Κι ήρθα κρύφα το παλιό.
So now that we have just a level set, right? What I'm doing in this case is using digital trim because this is coming in from my DAW. You can see that it's a USB input. What you would normally do is set a microphone gain. And that is one thing that I do want to bring up is if you look at this session here, I've normalized it. This guy for about an hour was extremely quiet, and it wasn't until he got really drunk at the end of the show where he got really loud. And so since this has been normalized, you can see that it's going to clip, right? So we have to watch out for that. We're going to go to the quiet parts because that's where you're going to have the most issues. Normally you want to do things like make sure they get loud. This guy just didn't listen, and that's not our fault. That happens a lot, right? So what are we going to do? The first thing that I do whenever I'm processing vocals is I grab a PSE and a LA2A combo. Now, this is the exact same thing as the PSE source extractor, which is a clone of the Rupert Neve Designs, what is it, 5045 or something? R&D 5045. Yeah, it's right here. We're going to bring this up so you can see this. It's a clone of not this unit, but the 500 series unit, which I think is the, let me see, R&D 5045 500 series. That's the 545. This is a clone of the 545 primary source enhancer. This is just a really interesting looking gate. The way that it does it is it has a threshold, a depth, which is how much it's gating, a fast or peak, which is going to be either listening to the peaks or the RMS, or it's going to be a fast or slow attack. Now, this is a very, very good compressor, right? And the reason why I always go for the PSE, or in my case, the combo, is because this will give you really good gating that's going to help prevent feedback in the very beginning, and then give you a little bit of LA2A kind of opto slower style compression. So if we go back to the vocal,
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον Άγιο. Μα
so what that's doing is it's going to help prevent some feedback by bringing down the volume. I like to have it set to fast, and I like to make sure that my depth is no higher than 10 in most cases, because you're going to be able to prevent yourself from getting any type of weird artifacts that way. Oh, I see I have a comment. Give me 1 second and let me just read that comment. What's up, dude? Big Mirio, what's up? Thank you, sir. Please, how can I get multi-track files from you? Oh, if you guys want multi-track files, you know what? I actually have a ton of multi-tracks from live events. Let me actually speak to the promoter that I do a lot of events for, and I think I could actually get you guys, I could get you some samples, some content. So I'll definitely probably be uploading a like a link probably in the next week or two where you can download them. It'll be a Google Drive link. Is there any specific music you're looking for? Let me know. All right, cool. So thanks for that question. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them. Now, back to this. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm using the PSE source extractor, right, with a combo of the LA2A.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον Άγιο.
Now, I don't ever set it to limit because I want it to be compressed, but if I take this out of solo now, we should get less noise and a nice, slightly louder volume.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ.
And now, this sounds good probably through your speakers or through whatever, but that's because we're in a studio or we have headphones on. A big thing is you are going to be in a live room with subs. So the next thing that I do is I always have a low cut or a high pass filter. Now, the Wing comes with a 6, 12, 18, and 14 dB octave slope, and it always starts off at the 24 dB octave slope. I tend to like to say that I go for a 12 dB octave slope, but the more and more that I've been using the Wing, the more and more I have actually been using the 18 and 24 dB octave slopes. So we're going to do this and turn on the tilt EQ. This way we can do some tonal shifting, right? We can make it brighter or darker as needed to fit the room, and then I can get rid of the low end.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ.
Cool, that's done. Now let's do a little bit of EQing. Now you can use a modeled EQ, but to be honest, for vocals, I 90% of the time just use the stock EQ. I'm gonna go for a tighter Q, and we're just gonna find some mud.
και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο.
Next, I'm going to go for the secondary dynamics section, and I'm going to go for a dual dynamics. This is going to give me a really good de-esser, like a really good de-esser. So we're going to go for the de-essing. I'm going to go for dynamics 2. We're going to solo it up. Let's see if you can hear the solo.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά,
Okay, so it looks
στο
like
μουράγιο.
it looks like you guys can't hear the band soloing. That's totally fine. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna set my gain down to a frequency, and we're just going to basically make it sound really spitty.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο. Είπα να σκοτωθώ.
So that's a little bit harsh, right? And in the live room, it's going to be harsher. And so what I like to do is make this really tight. And I will actually kind of push this out. And usually around 5 to 6K is a good spot to make a tight one that's going to be a big cut.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο. Είπα να σκοτωθώ.
Next, I'm going to go for the first one. And this is where I'm going to make a wide one. This is going to be really wide. And this is only going to do about 3 dBs of cutting. And we're going to actually go back here and only do a little bit of dynamic control here. And this is going to be slower.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο. Είπα να σκοτωθώ.
And in this situation live, this might not make much sense because, in this situation here, this might not make much sense to you because it doesn't sound all that bad. The recording is pretty clean. But remember that we are going to do this in a live room. And in the live room, even if you have tuned the system, you get the mightiness and the boxiness of the room. So oftentimes it's good to do that tilt EQ. It's good to do the low cut, and it's good to do a little bit of a cut here. I don't like to do de-essing with the EQ. It just doesn't usually sound very good. So I will do it with the dual dynamic EQ. This is very, very good, and you can make weird little shapes. If you're in the Facebook Behringer Wing user groups, my name's Jerry Mateo, on there, you'll see that I actually post things where I'm literally just using the dynamic EQ, making weird little shapes. Now, we have this set up. This is sounding pretty good. The next step that I like to do is if they need tuning, I will add a tuner to it. In this case, I didn't need it, but what I wanted was a little bit of dynamic control. So what I could do is I could go into a dynamic EQ, a triple dynamic EQ, a combinator, whatever, or I can go into a channel strip. Now with a channel strip, if I want to have more aggressive processing, I could go into something like a vintage channel where I would have an 1176 or an LA2A. Now, to be honest, in this case, this was not needed, and I try to avoid this as much as possible. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but because it just makes it easier and I get to save an effect slot. So now we have this.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο. Είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον Άγιο.
So it's not a giant change, but it is keeping it more dynamic. It's controlling the dynamics at least, and it's making it stand out a little bit more. Let's also work on this vocal or this guitar, and we're just going to get rid of that weird ugliness by adding a body resonance.
Στο μουράγιο.
Now for effects, this is going to be pretty easy. For those of you who do know, I always have my last 4 buses as effects slots. So I use the VSS3 and the stereo delay and the vocal doubler. I'm going to swap this out because I've actually changed this to the blue plate. And so I'm going to add a little bit of plate reverb to the vocal. And this might actually wrap up how to do this one. We're going to move on to a more advanced session with actual music. So here we go.
Και κάτω στον Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον Άγιο. Μα έκανα υπομονή και κουράγιο κι ήρθα κρύφα το παλιό μου καημό να σου πω.
The next thing is we're going to want a little bit of delay. So I'm going to add some delay. We're going to do the sends on fader right here. This is sends on fader. Turn it on, bring it up, and then I'm going to tap tempo. Now that's pretty easy to do on the Wing. I have a custom command that is my tap tempo.
Και κάτω στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον Άγιο. Μα έκανα υπομονή και κουράγιο κι ήρθα κρύφα το παλιό μου καημό να σου πω. Μάτια βουρκωμένα.
And to be honest, I think that sounds fine. I might want to do a little bit of stereo enhancing for the guitar. And in that case, what that's going to entail is doing a secondary insert to be post fader. And I'm going to do the Velvet Imager and just turn it on.
Στο Πειραιά, στο μουράγιο, είπα να σκοτωθώ, μα τον...
And that's done. That's the very, very basics, like the simplest way to do vocal processing on the Wing for a very simple live show. Now, let's move on past this, right? Let's go away from this really boring music. And let's go to a more intricate setup, right? So if I do this, if I go to SuperSource, I don't know if you see both of my screens. You do not. So I need to change that on my settings. But this is a much more advanced session. So we're going to go to my secondary layer right here. So I have the first session on channel 1 through 4. And this one is going to be the next session. So we have a total of, let me see. We have a total of, how many tracks? So we have kick, snare, tom-tom, overheads, bass, guitar, sax, lead vocal, and background vocal. I don't know why this says DL Vox. And one thing to note is that the snares are actually snare top and bottom, and we have overheads in stereo. So it's technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tracks. The actual session, I think, had like 20 something. We just scrapped stuff we didn't need, speeches and stuff like that. So let's play this. And as we play this, we are going to slowly bring up all of our faders so we can get to the track. So we'll start right here and we'll bring everything up.
This stranger around. Oh,
cool. So this is definitely a lot more fun to listen to. Let's go to our session and let's find a good song because we have a lot of covers here. Maybe right here. This is a good one. I like this one. So we're going to save the session. And this is where we're going to start this off. Remember, we're going to be focusing on mixing the vocals, not so much everything else. So we're going to really be focusing on finding us some just some overall good, um, like some good balance. We'll work on some of the basics on the instruments itself, but we'll really focus on the vocal.
I've been holding out so long, sleeping on my own. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging by the phone, sleeping on my own. I'm gonna kiss you.
Okay, so that's a lot better thing to listen to for mixing, right? Overall, I think, ooh, put myself over here. Overall, I think the vocals are a little bit muddy, right? But they're also not really in tune, and they're also kind of a little annoying. We have lots of elements here. The drums are pretty good. I am just going to finish labeling them, and by labeling them, I mean I'm literally just doing this. So I have my kick, I believe, here. That is kick. So we're going to put this red, make this kick drum. It's an outside kick. This one should be the snare. That sounds kind of snare-like, but it sounds kind of weird, right? USB 2, 21. Yep, that is the snare drum. So maybe it's just because there's nothing playing right there. We'll move to right here where there should be some playing. That is definitely the snare drum. Now keep in mind that this is the snare top and bottom combined. I didn't feel like separating them because why? And then we have tom 1. Yep, tom 1, tom 2, 3, and then overheads. We have the bass, guitar, saxophone, and vocalist. Again, there's no processing whatsoever in this session. If we go to SuperSource, you will see that there's nothing on my session in my DAW. It's completely bare and clean. So that is good. We're bypassing the room mics, the background vocals, and all the speech mics. So we should be pretty clear. So that sounds pretty okay for a balance. Let's go for the vocals. We want to make sure the vocals cut through and sound okay.
I've been holding out so long, sleeping on my own. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging by the phone, sleeping on my own. I gotta kiss you.
Okay, so one thing that this is going to be a good note, right? When you are mixing front of house or when you're mixing monitors, always have a good pair of IEMs. Whenever I'm mixing front of house, I have either speakers in front of me, like some K12s or some small speakers, some like Fostex or something, or I have been starting to bring my Fosse Audio open back IEMs. Because at this point, I can solo up the vocal and see are there any harsh or resonant frequencies. One thing I'm noticing is there is quite a lot of bleed. So I am going to go to my gate section. I'm going to start off with what I always start out with, and that is going to be the source extractor. This is, again, the Rupert Neve Design 545 500 series emulation of that. And we're just going to turn this on and get a little bit of gating where we're going to get rid of the background noise. I always set this to fast. And yes, I'm not using the standalone one. I am using the combo because this comes with an LA2A built in.
Well, I've been holding out so long, sleeping on my own. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging by the phone, sleeping on my own. I gotta kiss you.
Now, this might not be doing much to you right now, but in the room, it does help. The next step is using the LA2A, which is a tube style compressor, right? It's going to be slower and grabbier. You don't want it in limit mode because it's going to be really, really, really like just aggressive and snappy. This is going to be giving me some gentle compression. I can get up to like 6 to almost 10 dBs of compression on this thing and not get a over compressed sound. But we don't want to do this. We just want to hug this, right? So here we go. Go to a place where he's singing.
Well, I've been holding out so long, sleeping on my own. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging by the phone, sleeping on my own. I gotta kiss you.
So you hear that? I can get quite a lot of compression without it sounding overbearing. I also want to go to my filters section, and I'm going to activate the tilt EQ and the low cut filter. This is a very muddy vocal, even though the guy has a very higher end range. So it tends to sound weird. It's going to need a little bit of compression. I mean, a little bit of filtering.
So long, sleeping on my own. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging by the phone, sleeping on my own. I gotta kiss you. I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams. Lord, I miss you, child.
So it's doing a pretty good job of keeping it a little bit more intact, right? Next, we're going to do some EQ moves to kind of shape it a little bit better. Earlier, I did a low cut filter. I went up to 130 hertz, and I did a tilt EQ, which is basically just doing a whole tilt shelf. It's bringing up the lows and bringing up the highs. I don't like to do a crazy amount of this because boosting too much high end will cause some feedback. But this is where we can choose what type of actual EQ do we want. Does this vocal need a lot of cleaning up, or does it just need some gentle shaping? Now, if you want to do some very surgical shaping, there is nothing better than the stock wing EQ. I use this thing on pretty much everything, almost every single day. On bass guitars or other stuff, I will actually use the Moog EQ. I like that on guitars. The Pulsar, which is a Pultec, is really good. And the Fortissimo, which is a Focusrite EQ, sounds amazing. I'm not a huge fan of the even 84, just because I like the 88 one a little bit better. And I don't really use the Soul Analog very much just because I hate the fact that it always has the divided by 3 on. It's annoying. It confuses me. But I think we can get away with the EQ for the Moog EQ because I did use the Moog EQ in the actual mix in the room.
So long, sleeping on my own. Lord, I miss you. I've been hanging by the phone, sleeping on my own. I'll go to kiss you.
And we'll move on to a part where he's more singing.
Screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child. I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child.
That's a pretty big difference right there. Let's bypass the EQ, the low cut, the tilt EQ, the combination of the LA2A and the source extractor, and the Moog EQ. This is bypassed.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child.
It gets drowned out and it's very muddy. So we're going to turn on the filter, we're going to turn on the compression, and we're going to turn on the Moog EQ.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child.
And that sounds really good, actually. My next step is, because this is getting a little spitty, just a little bit, we're going to grab either a de-esser or a dynamic EQ. Now, the Wing has many de-essers, right? We could use the de-esser that is built into it, the DBX clone. I'm not a fan of that one, not because it's bad, but because I really like the dual dynamic EQ. Another option would be to grab an insert and use the, what is it called? It is the, it's the dynamic EQ, the 2-band de-esser. This is a clone of the SPL de-esser. And I'm going to be honest with you, this thing sounds like garbage. I'm going to show you this just so you can see how bad it sounds.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child. I've been sleeping on my own, hanging all alone. When the phone rings, it's just a friend of mine. He said,
You hear that? It sounds really, really aggressive. I just cannot back this de-esser. And it's an insert, so I never use it. Go for the dual dynamic EQ. This is going to give you a lot more precision. So I'm going to go with dynamic EQ 2. I'm going to speed up the attack and release. And then I'm going to set the Q to something pretty wide. I want this to be a very wide band net. This is going to grab all the frequencies that I don't like.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you.
Now that I have that set, I'm going to change my gain setting to something very, very subtle, -4 dB. We're going to only get about 2 or 3 dBs of gain reduction on this side.
I've been howling in my sleep.
Right? It's not really doing much. Next, we're going to grab another band and we're going to boost, and we're going to make this one really fast. Have a decent hold, and this is where we're going to find the really spitty frequencies.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child. I've been sleeping on my own, hanging all alone. When the phone rings, it's just a friend of mine. He said, "Hey, what's the matter, man? You gonna stop around 12 with some Puerto Rican girl?" Then I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child.
And this is where we're going to get most of our actual gain reduction. We can bring up the threshold on the second band and bring down the first band.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child.
That's a pretty huge and relatively transparent change. where we're able to enhance the high frequencies with the Moog EQ. We're able to shape it with the tilt EQ and then do some low cut to get rid of some mids and some muddiness, as well as using a lot of compression. And we've got a pretty good settled up vocal. If you want to go a little bit farther, it's not very hard to do. You can then use an insert. Just keep in mind that this can get you in or out of phase of things. And I used this in an earlier session, so I'm just going to grab these processors just to blank them out. But we can go for a channel strip. Let's say you really want to have more control. We can grab the insert here. Keep in mind, though, if you are going to be doing parallel processing at all, do not do this. Do not have this set at all. You want to have this completely bypassed. And if you want to do parallel processing, throw this onto a mix bus. Throw it on a mix bus, and you can have an instance of the 1176 or the LA2A or whatever there. And you can use the mix knob on them. The only ones that don't have a mix knob is the dynamic EQs and stuff like that. But anything that has a dynamic processor will have a mix knob. All right. For this case, because we're not going to do parallel processing, let's try it out.
Well, I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child. I've been sleeping on my own, hanging all alone when the phone rings. It's just a friend of mine. He said, hey!
Cool. We don't need the EQ. We can then go for some subtle LA2A.
Well, I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child. I've been sleeping on my own, hanging all alone when the phone rings. It's just a friend of mine. He said, hey, what's the matter, man? We gonna stop around 12 with some Puerto Rican girl? Then, time to meet you. Gonna drink a case of wine.
Personally, I prefer the more natural sound using just the LA2A, the combinator, or the combo. What is it? The PSC source enhancer combo. I always call it a combinator for some reason. But what you can do if you really do feel like you need some more control is go for a multi-band compressor. The combinator is an actual amazing compressor. This thing does phenomenal gain reduction. So we can find some frequencies that we don't like, and we can just blend them in. In my case, I really know that the lower and lower mid frequencies are a little bit of a problem.
I've been howling in my sleep, screaming in my dreams, Lord, I miss you, child. I've been sleeping on my own, hanging all alone when the phone rings. It's just a friend of mine. He said, hey, what's the... You gonna stop around 12 with some Puerto Rican girl? There.
And then this guy's really into Puerto Rican girls. It's really funny. We can do more gain reduction here. And this is where we can really get a lot of control here. We can get rid of more sibilants. We can get rid of more whatever. But if you are going to use something as an insert, I would actually recommend the combinator. It's a very good... And we can go to a more exciting part, right?
You know we gon' mess and fool around like we used to around. Take me to the bridge, gotta do it. Oh man, oh baby, why you way so low?
Now, we can go ahead and bypass all of this, right? We can just take a listen to everything completely bypassed, and we can just see how this sounds now. This is before.
You know we gon' mess and fool around like we used to around.
So right there, you're really hearing that it's just cutting in and out, right? It's going in, out. It's not really doing the best job that it can. And so if we bring in our filters, our compression, our EQ, our multi-band compressor, or our dynamic EQ, and we bring back in the combinator, our multi-band compressor,
You know we gon' mess and fool around like we used to around.
that's a massive difference. Just one more time, just so you can hear that.
You know we gon' mess and fool around like we used to around.
And that's sounding pretty good considering that we haven't done anything to anything else, right? Next, let's go for some time-based effects, right? I really like having a plate reverb on vocal, and I really like having a delay. So we're gonna have this tap to tempo, so it's like da 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 da. That should be about the tempo. Let's see if this is working. Yeah, 2 2 4 2 2 4. I'm assuming that's around the tempo. I am going to go into Sends on Fader mode, which on the Wing Compact, or yeah, the Wing Compact, you'll actually see a Sends on Fader section on your side. And let me show you a picture of the Wing Compact right now, just so you can see it. This is the Wing Compact. Right here is the Sends on Fader side, on this side. That's the exact same thing that is on the Wing Edit right here. These are your Sends on Fader. So if you're using Wing Edit, Sends on Fader is right here on your side. If you have a Wing Rack, which is what I own, let's go for the Wing. You don't have a Sends on Fader per se. But what you do have is this section right here. And what I do is I actually use custom commands to create something like that, or I will literally just click onto the channel and go to, I believe it's called faders, and you go to Sends. When you click on Sends, it puts you onto a Sends on Fader mode, which will basically allow you to have that same kind of view. It allows you to have everything sent, and you just click it once, and it will either show you your mix buses, you click it twice, and it shows you your matrices. You just make sure you have a channel selected, because if you have like a matrix selected, it won't show you the channel sends and everything like that. So that's pretty simple and easy to do. Let's come out of here, go back into our session. And let me go back to YouTube. Beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to the Wing. And let's start processing some time-based effects.
You know we gon' mess and fool around like we used to around.
So the first thing you're going to do when you go on Sends on Fader is you're going to turn on the send on whatever you want to send to it. My vocal is going to be the only one going to that one.
You know we gon' mess and fool around like we used to around. Take me to the bridge, gotta do it. Oh man, oh baby, why you way so low?
The next thing is we're going to want to make some space, right? Now that we have the vocal sounding pretty okay, I mean, not great. The guy is not the best tuned, but he sounds pretty okay. We want to focus on trying to get there to be a little bit more room, right? So this is where we're going to start focusing on other elements. The saxophone definitely needs some compression, and for this, we're going to go for either the red compressor or we're going to go for the Bliss EQ or the Bliss compressor, just because the Bliss comp, if I can find it, Eternal Bliss. This has a gain reduction, what's it called, like a limit. So you can say, hey, my maximum amount of gain reduction I want is going to be 5 dB. Really cool thing to have. We're going to focus on that later. We're going to make some room on the guitars. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go home, turn on the low cut, turn on the tilt EQ. Let's listen to the guitars real quick. And for this, I'm going to go for a little bit more of an aggressive compression. I like to use the Soul 900 on guitars. This is the SSL channel compressor. And I just really like it on guitars. It sounds really aggressive, right? Really smushy and gooey. So you just set it to really fast. You set it to have a fast release, and then you bring up the threshold, and you basically bring it down till it does a little bit of compression. And then kind of something similar here. We're going to go for a fast release, not 5 milliseconds, because that sounds ridiculous, and a fast attack. And we're going to have a ratio of something like a 2-to-1 ratio. And we're just going to get 5 dBs of compression on the saxophone. Let's go to where the sax plays. Pew, pew. And we maybe slow down the attack a little bit. So it's not destroying it completely, but it's just controlling it and containing it. And then let's give the hall. Let's give a little bit of reverb to that saxophone. Cool. That's sounding pretty okay. Let's see. It's kind of a little hard because I'm using like my little thing instead of touching the screen, but the screen is like down here. So sorry if I'm not looking at here like I normally do. All right, so we have that set up. I think we're getting a pretty good mix so far. Maybe we can control the low end a little bit by dialing in the bass, right? Actually, this is a good time to show you something. Something you never want to do with the Wing is turn on an effects rack and then turn on an effect. You hear that? That like pause? That happens if you load up an effect right away. So you want to have that off. That way there's no delay, there's no stop. That's because it takes a couple seconds for the effects rack to load. And remember that the effects rack will have latency. So if you are going to do parallel processing where you have the channel and then the bus at the same time combining, do not do an insert until after it goes to another section where it sums together. Since I don't actually do parallel processing on buses that often, I actually do it on the channels themselves because almost all the compressors and gates have a mix knob. I like to just overcompress on the channel. I don't see the point of doing parallel compression on a Wing. You can, But yeah, let's clean up the bass a little bit. That sounds good. I think the next step is going to be changing the signal flow. I want the insert to be before the compression because for the compressor, we're actually going to be doing a distressor. So I'm going to go for the distressor, the no stress, and let's take a listen. Okay, let's bypass all the processing and let's see what's our gain set to. Cool. We're a little bit louder, but now we can bring this down and it should give us some more room in the mix.
Take me to the bridge, gotta do it. Oh man, oh baby, why you way so low? Oh baby, why you way so low?
So I am hearing a little bit muffled muddiness. Just hearing a tiny bit of muffliness, a tiny bit of muddiness. Give me 1 second. I have to start the dryer. My wife just reminded me. I'll be right back. Just going to turn it on. I'm back. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So, yeah, we're getting a little bit of muffliness in the vocal. Really quickly, does anybody have any questions or have any requests? I know there's like 7 people here, which is pretty cool because it's like 1 a.m. in LA. But yeah, does anyone have any requests or any questions or anything they want to see specifically? We do have time right now. I am going to. Cool. Just got some new licenses. Cool. I am going to be going on to cleaning up the vocal a little bit more. Because we have a multiband compressor as the combiner, let's see if we can find that muffliness, that muddiness, right? So it's definitely like a combination of both of these frequencies. Now, unfortunately, with the combiner or the combinator, you're not able to actually select the frequencies. We can do this thing where we can kind of tweak the settings a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit more compression, and we can make the width a little bit wider. I believe this makes it tighter, this makes it wider. And we're going to change our crossovers. We're going to set our ratio a little bit lower, and we're going to do more compression.
All right. Yeah. Take me to the bridge. Gotta do it. Oh, man. Oh, baby, why you way so low? Oh, baby, why you way so low? Now won't you come on?
And because we are doing some multi-band compression now, let's back up on the dynamic EQ. Like I said, normally I don't tend to need to use a insert slot, but I remember that this live stream was pretty aggressive, so I had to do this. We don't need to have as much gain reduction here, so we can back off just a touch, make this one a little bit wider. And this is pretty good. This is done pretty well. Yeah, yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. Give me 1 second. I'm seeing a error on something. Let me check. Is everybody okay? I'm getting like a notification of an error on YouTube's end. Just want to check it. What is going on here? Looks like YouTube is band throttling. That's dumb. Okay, whatever. All right, so it looks like YouTube wants to band throttle my video bitrate. And that should fix it right there. Cool. All right. I hope that fixed it. Let me know, you guys, if that fixes it. I did update the buffer, but looks like YouTube wants to band limit it. Okay. Anyway, let's continue on, and let's see. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that sounds pretty good. For this was a live stream that I was mixing, so I was a lot more free to do what I normally want to do. In other intervals and other parts, I don't actually have that luxury where I can just slap a bunch of inserts on. So that's something to keep in mind. So normally what I'm doing is I have 4 inserts as effects, and then I have graphic EQ, a bass enhancement, and then I will, if I'm not doing front of house, I will have the rest slots open, or I might have more. I'm sorry, if I'm not mixing monitors and front of house, I'll usually just have like 4 graphic EQs and a bass enhancement, and then the rest is insert slots. If I am doing monitor mixes, I will be doing monitors for everything. One thing to keep in mind though is for this mix, we actually did not have monitors. So that is a good thing. Everything was in IEM, so we didn't need to do anything whatsoever. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I'm not using any of these insert slots. Just a little bit of housekeeping, because I'm seeing that there's an insert being used. I don't know what channel that's on. Who cares? All right. So let's move on. And let's actually listen to a different song. We have many songs here. This was a whole multi-hour event. So let's try right here. We have more vocals.
Fucking set you apart. Oh, got it, cashed him.
Oh, okay. Let's do the Pokemon theme song. This is going to be fun. Okay. So right here, when they do the Pokemon theme song, let's look at the same settings that we have, right? Haven't changed anything on channels 17 through 26. Same settings, different song, different vibe.
I wanna be the very best no one ever was. To catch them all is my real test. Train them is my cause. Well, I will travel across the land.
Cool. So right there is a good part to talk about. Right here in this section, the singer was just chilling. He was walking around and he did not want to take his wireless handheld. We used four, what are they called? Four Phoenix Pro PTA U2s. Those are my wireless handhelds that I use. They're very good, by the way. They are very good. I've been using those for a couple of months now, and they're amazing. All four of them. But he did not want to take his wireless with him. He wasn't playing his guitar. But what he did want to do was just kind of be quiet. He was walking around. So you got to see and hear how he got very dynamic. So let's bypass all the processing we have on him. And let's see what happened if we don't have all this stuff to color his vocal, right? See how it disappears and it comes in and out.
I wanna be the very best no one ever was. To catch them all is my real test. Train them is my cause. Well, I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. These Pokemon will understand the power that's inside Pokemon.
Cool. So hopefully you could hear that and you can see it. I wanted to show you guys on camera 2, which is over here for me, but over there for you. So camera 2, you can see in these little areas, he's very quiet, right?
I wanna be the very best no one ever was.
You can hear all that mightiness, right? So let us bring all the processing back in. Bloop, 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 bloop. And listen to it again.
I wanna be the very best no one ever was. To catch them all is my real test. Train them is my cause. Well, I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. These Pokemon will understand the power that's inside Pokemon. Gotta catch them all.
So that went on longer than I thought. I kind of like it. It reminds me of when I was like a kid, right? When Pokemon came out, and I was, God, I don't know when that is. I'm 35 now, so I don't know. I remember when Ash only caught he hung out with the Lugia. I don't remember. I don't have watched Pokemon at all since then. But yeah, this is doing a lot. The exact same processing, right? The processing that is a little overdone, a little overbaked, but sounds really good. But that also leads me to remind you, your processing is going to be only as good as your overall tuning is going to be set up. So if you're going to be tuning the room, we're going to pretend bus 6 is the tuning of the room. It is very important that you have a well-tuned room. Now, I will say this, Sound City Studios, their live room was very nice, right? It was very, very nice, but it had a lot of ring to it. So I know that Derek Olds. He was the engineer. You could check him out, Derek Olds or Derek Love Music. He did the front of house. I did the stream because I have the Wing, and he only has an X32, which isn't a knock on it. I own an X32 as well. It's literally right here, right next to me. But he did the front of house mix, and I know that he had to do a little bit of tweaking in EQ. It kind of sounded like it sounded like it would look kind of like this, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when you consider the fact that you're going to have to do a graphic EQ on top of that, right? A real one. And you're going to do like a little bit of resonant fixes. You're going to do some roll-offs here and there. You have to make sure that your room sounds good. Because if your room does not sound good, there's going to be no point in having all of this processing to make it sound like a studio recording. Because it'll sound like garbage. And that's just a fact. One big thing that I always do whenever I mix front of house is I make sure that I can listen to music with the processing, like everything flat except for my tuning, and it sounds very good. If you don't get any excess low end, if you don't get any excess anything, you're able to tune things as needed. One thing that I also stress is do not be afraid. You have 2 inserts on your matrices and stuff like that, or your master bus. And I've started to process my master bus with a little bit of compression or a dynamic EQ, which thanks to Gilm, I think it's Gilm Loretti. He has a YouTube channel. You should check it out. He makes amazing stuff. He does really cool random streams. I guess he was the one who told them we need a dual dynamic EQ on our buses. And dude, I've been freaking using this thing every single mix now because I can just get rid of some muddy frequencies. Just super easy. Okay, so enough with that. Guillaume, I totally want to do a collab sometime. We should totally do a collab. I love watching your stuff. You're so detailed. It's really cool. Unlike me, who kind of just wings it and he's like, screw it, let's go. Let's have a drink. Oh, by the way, these drinks are thanks to my friend Bear. He gave these to me for free. They're not that good. They're not that good, but they're free. It is something I can have at 2 a.m. All right. So let's move on to the next one. We're going to go for one more. And then I think we're going to call it a night because it is late and my kids are going to wake me up in like 3 hours. So let's go. Let's check out this song. No clue what it is.
Hey Joe, where you going with
Oh, Hey Joe. Okay. I don't think we can because it has a word in there that YouTube doesn't like. Okay, this one's good.
the pilot? Many a man.
Okay, so this is going to be a great one, actually. Let's go to my DAW. And this is going to be... So check it out. We're going to have a very dynamic section right here. Oh, I forgot you can't scrub. How do you do the scrubbing? Is this scrubbing? Not scrubbing. Is this scrubbing? Not scrubbing. I'm still getting used to using Studio One. I'm so used to Cubase and Nuendo. So we have the loud parts.
Shoot. Hope you guess my name.
And then we have the quiet parts.
For a long, long year, many a man sold to waste. But I was around when Jesus.
So what we're going to do is let's recreate this signal flow, right? This is input 30, input 30. And this is actually going to be something really cool that you can do. You can make snaps, right? And what you do is you're going to go into your scenes. I think it's library, mixer. You see we have Hi-Fi Man start. So this is my scenes, right? We're currently on this one because it's tuned to my ATEM speakers, my ATEM headphones for my Harman mix. I actually don't use this for live, but we can make a new scene and you can change it per song. And that's what we're going to do, except instead of doing that, because I don't want to save over this and I'm being lazy, we're going to make a new signal flow. And we're going to do it. Oh, hold on. You guys weren't looking at the screen. My bad. So because we're using USB 30, right, I'm going to just tap it on this one and mute this one. We're going to have this one coming in, and since it's the same input, it'll be easy. Now, what you can do in your libraries is you can select your profiles, right? On my wing, I have actually a ton of them. I have like 60, 70 snaps, and I have like, no, I have like 80 snaps actually, and I have a bunch of presets for like tuning and stuff for like the auto tune. So you can just save a snap and load it, go previous. But if I change that, we're gonna lose all the stuff that we've done. So let's actually go to my library. We're gonna save one, a new one. Let's go save. We'll do streams. Let me just name it. Cool. And if we go to my library, we go to, should say streams somewhere. And it boom, 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 streams, right? We can go. So that's the settings that we're using for this show. So we can do a whole separate one, right? Let's get rid of this. We don't need this. Boom, none, right? And in fact, we're going to restart this whole channel strip. Initialize. Boom. So what's going to happen now is our channel vocal is initialized, but we can always go and it'll load up that scene. So we're good with that. We don't need to worry about this anymore. So we'll save this, scrap this, and we're going to save this as streams. We're going to hit update, and we're going to just do a initialize. This is a new song, new tempo, new everything. Let's just see what we're going for. Well, I was around. We're going to go here. Out for a long, long year, many men sold to waste. Well, I was around when Jesus Christ and his moments of doubt and pain made them sure and piety, washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. And again, we're having that. This is a whole new song, right? Completely new. And we're going to have to do a new tempo. We're going to have to do everything. So if you do have time for that, or if you are the band's FOH engineer or the band's monitor mixer, you're going to want to be able to quickly just be like, boom, boom. We're going to do a tilt EQ. We're going to cut to here, maybe even to 170. And let's say we don't have to worry about feedback, right? We actually didn't, because this whole show was done on IEMs. I provided all the in-ears. So I have my Phoenix Pro in-ears. I have my Sennheiser in-ears. I actually am a very big fan of Sennheiser in-ears. People don't like them. A lot of people, professionals, are like, oh, they suck. I did this show called the One Drop Gala with my friend Derek Golds. And PSAV, or Encore, provided a bunch of PSA 1000s, and their systems engineer did not know how to properly do like a screening, or he didn't know how to do a RF scan properly. So we ended up using my Sennheisers. I just connected it to my thing, did an RF scan, used my Tiny SA just to double check, and we ran the whole show off of Sennheisers. So, you know, whatever. And it was just using my Phoenix Pro combiner and a couple of Phoenix Pro IEMs as well as a double, as a backup. And those work just fine. So let's start over. So we have this now, right? Because we don't have to worry about gating, let's just do some compression, right? So what's my next favorite compressor for vocals? I actually really like the Fairkid, the Fairchild compressor. We're going to turn this on. Set it to its fastest time consistent. Papoom. Papoom is a new word. And we're just going to crank the threshold. Out for a long, long year, many men sold to wait. Well, I was around when Jesus Christ and his moments of doubt and pain made them sure that piety washed his hands. And let's say because we don't have to worry about feedback because we're using IEMs, we don't have to use a dynamic EQ anymore, or we don't have to use the multiband compressor. We can use a dynamic EQ as the multiband compressor. We can get rid of the muddiness, we can get rid of the ugliness by using this. So let's get a lot of really soft compression, like soft compression. And we have many options. We can use a DBX. I actually think the red compressor is one of the best ones. After hearing what the, well, I need to shave my beard. After hearing how the Fairchild sounded, it doesn't work for this vocal. We need something that's going to be fast, snappy, and a soft knee. And Focusrite red compressor is an amazing compressor.
His hands, sealed his fate.
Yeah.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. What's puzzling you is just the nature of my game.
So in this case, I'm going to stick for the stock EQ. I think it's going to work out for me. And we are going to change these to parametric EQs.
For a long, long year, many men sold to waste. I was around when Jesus Christ and his moments of doubt and pain made them sure the pilot washed his hands.
And in this case, I may change the routing. I may put the EQ before the first compressor.
Christ and his moments of doubt and pain made them sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
And we're just basically using this as now a multi-band compressor. And we want to make this fast. We want to make this fast so it can capture those sounds, but we don't want it too fast, because if it's too fast, it will distort. It's not because the wing is bad at processing. It's because if you have a compressor set to 0 attack time, it always distorts. It doesn't matter. The only time it won't is if it has massive amounts of oversampling. And I have tested this on many studio plugins. Hardware units distort, and that's why people like hardware units. By the way, if you guys are wondering what this is a little stylus thing for the touch screen, so I can, control the touch screen. Personally, I like it. So here we go. Let's go for that sibilance. Let's get rid of that sibilance. Right there. Okay. And of course, we don't have to be that aggressive. This is just to find the frequency and set our settings. But we can be super aggressive if we want to. Remember, it's live, so it doesn't really matter. We can do a little bit of EQ. So I'm hearing some resonance right there. And we can even see right there at that frequency at about 8K, there's a lot of resonance. So let's make this have a bass at like 6 point something. And that sounds good. Okay, cool. So let's listen back now and let's see with our new stripped down, simplified workflow.
Christ and his moments of doubt and pain made them sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. What's puzzling you is just the nature of my game.
Now, this sounds pretty okay, but I'm not getting as much aggression. It's not standing out as much, and that's because of the processing, right? We had a much more aggressive processing before. So if we save this as number 2, and we just take a look, right? We'll go to our library, and we'll load this one. Look at all this.
Out for a long, long year, many a man sold to waste. Well, I was around when Jesus Christ and his moments of doubt and pain made them sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate.
Let's load up the next one.
Out for a long, long year, many men sold to waste.
It's a lot more subtle. It's not as magical, but it's more natural. So it really depends on what you want to do. In a real event where you have lots of speakers, lots of monitor wedges, this is going to be better. This is going to be okay. This is going to sound natural. It's not going to overhype any frequencies. And you're going to be able to use a dynamic EQ on your master bus to tame those resonant frequencies a little bit better. But you are going to miss out on the enhancement options that you have. So it really depends on what you want to do. And it depends on the limitations of your sound system or your room. Personally, I will try to use RCFs or L-acoustics, sometimes some SRXs, or if it's a low budget thing, I'll use some QSCs, 12.2s or something like that. So for that, we're going to probably have to use a similar setting like this. But if we're using L-acoustics and IEMs, it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. Let's try for a different compressor that might give us a little bit more grab, but enough snap to bounce back really fast, right? So we have a bunch of ones. The newest ones is the one knob comp, the limit comp, and the even 88 compressor. Let's try this one, and let's see what we can get out of this. Okay, I think that pop was actually from the DAW. I don't think it's in the recording at all.
I was around when Jesus made them sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate.
Yeah, it's just a DAW.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. What's puzzling you is just the nature of my game.
I think that sounds pretty good. I'm going to save or update this session, and let's load up the last one.
Pain made them sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
So I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, using the combinator, the multi-band compressor, sounds so much better. And there's a reason why people, when they use Waves plugins or stuff like that, why they use stuff like the where is my I don't know where my Waves plugins thing is installed here. We'll use this. There's a reason why when people are using like third-party plugins, why they use the Waves C6. Oh gosh, this is set up for Amp Sims. This is the program that I use whenever I'm using real-time plugins. I don't feel like resetting this thing up right now. It is very annoying because it's not super touchscreen friendly. So we'll do that later. But I can just grab. Normally what I would use if I am using plugins is the F6. It's either the F6 or it's the C6. Boom. F6 is right here. The F6. This is the Waves F6. It's a 6-band dynamic EQ. Or the Waves C6. Now, these are very old plugins, or not the F6. The F6 is not old. But a cool thing about the F6 is it can go full band, so you are able to do, let's say, band 3. We're going to do a little bit of gain reduction. We're going to do some whatever, right? You can make it like super wide band, or I think you're able to do this thing where it goes full band and it'll compress the whole thing. This can be a wide band compressor, multi-band compressor, whatever you want it to be. But the C6 is the closest thing to the combinator that I can think of, especially considering the combinator has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands. So it's going to be better than the C4, which is the older version of the C6. Either way, they are both very good plugins. But if you want a equivalent to that, let me just listen to that. Let's bypass this.
Hey, made damn sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
So much more aggression as soon as you turn this thing on. Here, let's go right here.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what's puzzling you is just the nature of my game.
That's the beauty of a multi-band compressor. Now, I think this sounds great, but if we go to our no insert effects section,
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
again, you have that issue where you're only getting a dual dynamic.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
You can get that aggression, but you're also not going to get any low-end dynamic control. But what we can do is we can make this a little bit less aggressive, right? Make it wider. And
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. Oh, wow. Look, my hair's getting long again. You can see my hair's kind of getting curly again. All right. So I think the next step is to find the proper compressor. Now, to me, the Even 88 is a good comp. I think it's better than the Red 3. I also think that I have never tried the one knob. So let's try the one knob.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
Okay, that's a ton of compression.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
What the hell? Sorry, what the heck? That sounds amazing.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
Hold on. I want more compression.
Pleased to meet you.
More. Let's check this out.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess.
Hold on. Let me go back here. That sounds really good. What the heck?
Ain't damn sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
Okay. So Guillaume Loretti his live stream because I guess he had the firmware of the Wing version 3.1 before anyone else. He talked about how he really liked this compressor, and I noticed that it had a really weird attack but a really good sustain. And I'm hearing that right there when he says "pleased to meet you." It does this like dip, but after it dips from there, it seems to have such a slow release that everything just sounds really nice after. This is a really cool compressor, but it's not something you can just crunch with.
Ain't damn sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate.
Slow release.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what's puzzling you is
It's good though. This is really good. Holy cow. What can I use that would kind of do a similar distressor? Let's try distressor. Let's do a distressor. Okay, so fast attack, which is over here. Fast release, 6-to-1 ratio. Let's just check it out.
ain't damn sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you.
Let's try a lower ratio.
Ain't damn sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what's puzzling you is just the nature of my game. Oh, yeah, well, I stuck around.
Honestly, the distressor is really good, but wow, that one knob sounds really good. I also feel like there's nothing that's going to be able to beat that multi-band compressor. I think maybe we're going to have to go to a default, which is the 1176.
Ain't damn sure the pilot washed his hands,
Yeah.
sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you.
Of course, we're going to have to tame that.
Ain't damn sure the pilot washed his hands, sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. But what's puzzling you is just the nature of my game. Oh, yeah, well, I stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was a time or a change.
That's actually not bad. We're going to save that one. And let's compare to the one with the multi-band compressor, right? The combinator.
Oh, yeah, well, I stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was a
God, it sucks because nothing really beats that multi-band compressor, but that's just showing you how powerful that multi-band compressor is. It's really, really impressive. It's actually way better sounding than whatever they had on the X32. And I can show you that right now because I have my X32 connected to my console. Okay. So the X32, where is the effects section? I don't know why I'm looking at that screen. Effects. The combinator. Oh wow, this just shows the last time I used this. I had a lot of multi-band compression. Wow. Okay, this is the combinator on the X32, and it does look exactly like this. There's the wing. That's the wing. That's the X32. A little bit different controls, a little bit more old school. It wasn't as easy to use. Yeah, that combinator is good. Let's load up that no combinator session.
Oh, yeah, well, I stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was the time for a change. I killed the Tsar and his ministers and his station rolling there. I rode the tank, held the general's rank, got the lamented, and then the body stank.
Yeah, there's really no way to get this sound, because the thing is, to get that like really nice multi-band compressed sound, we need to have something that's constantly compressing. And I think the only thing I can think of that would do that would be using an LA2A.
Petersburg,
Oh,
when I saw it was the time for a change. I killed the Tsar and his ministers and his station rolling there.
you hear that? Like the way that that's just grabby, but not too grabby. Let's try the Summit Audio equivalent, which is basically an LA2A with attack and release controls. We'll set a normal, a fast release and a medium attack, and let's do this again.
I stuck around St. Petersburg when I saw it was the time for a change. I killed the Tsar and his ministers and his station rolling there. I rode the tank, held the general's rank, got the lamented, and then the body stank.
So right there, that's not the compressor. Right here, he literally walks away from the microphone.
Got the lamented, and then the body stank.
So that's not that at all. But I think that's pretty close. The LA2A or the TLM 100, which is Summit Audio compressor.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Oh yeah. But what's confusing you is just the nature of my game.
Not bad. We're going to update this, and let's load up the one with the multi-band compressor.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name. Oh yeah. But what's confusing you is just the nature of my game.
I'm trying. I'm really trying. I need to put on my glasses. I'm getting a headache. I'm really trying to make it so the multi-band compressor isn't like the end-all be-all, but that C5 combinator is honestly, like, it's amazing. It is, yeah, it is honestly really, really good. It is fantastic. This is definitely one of the best compressors I've used for live sound. And it works really well. The latency is not very high either, so you can easily compensate for that. You just got to look it up. There is actually a website, and there's a PDF document that tells you the latency. So if you are going to do parallel processing, you can look up the latency for the combinator, add it up and do whatever. But if you are going to use this, I would say, maybe if you're doing bus mixing, put the combinator on the bus. There is no dry wet control. No, there is. There's a wet dry knob, so you can actually do that if you want to. But I think this is great. The combinator sounds freaking fantastic. If you're not going to do parallel processing, right? You're not going to send this to another thing and then blend it in with the other things. This is a great thing, even though you can technically send this to a bus and do parallel processing if it's an insert here. You just can't do parallel processing if you put the combinator on the bus. But that's only possible because of my tap point. So I would have to move my tap point to be after the insert, right? Which would mean normally your tap point is here. And when you do an insert, it's after that tap point. So that latency will not be sent to your buses or your mixes or whatever. So if you do want to have that effect, you have to move it down so that you do not have a phase issue or a phase incoherence. You want everything to be phase coherent, basically meaning, it's going up and down at the same time. It's pulsing and moving and whatever at the same time. One thing that's a big misconception is people say, oh, if you use an Allen and Heath console, there is no phase time alignment. It automatically compensates. That is a straight lie. And that is someone who has not read the manual, because the Allen and Heath D-Live even states that everything is phase coherent until you add an insert effect or an effects rack, because that causes it to be out of phase and you will have to compensate for that manually. That is said on the Behringer Wings manual as well, even though they just came out with their manual not long ago. And that is said on the Digico manual, which is a much more expensive console. That is the same thing on an Avid S6. That is the same thing on what else? Honestly, on anything else. The only console that does latency and gain compensation, not gain compensation, but latency compensation, is a Waves LV1 system. And the big problem with the Waves LV1 system is because it has delay compensation. Every time you add an effect that adds latency, you actually get a bigger lag on your system. So if you have a bunch of C6s and then you have a bunch of auto tunes, which you have real-time versions, but let's say you use transient designers, let's say you have anything that adds latency, eventually your system gets so much latency that it's literally like a ba-ba, like you'll say, hey, and you'll hear it like a couple seconds later. And that is a big problem. And Waves LV1 is an amazing console. It's fantastic. But that is the big problem with using plugins as an architecture, is you get latency no matter what. So anyone saying that this is a latency issue like this or a phase coherence issue is not something that happens in any other console. It happens on Digicos because the only time they have plugins is when they use Wave systems. And then if you actually look it up, it's a huge problem that people say constantly is always happening. Allen and Heath even states it on their manual. And as much as Allen and Heath is annoying because they don't fix bugs that have been around for like 5 years, they finally do fix them. And when they do, they make their D-Live like one of the best consoles. The D-Live is an amazing console and the new update is amazing. But yeah. That's my little rant at the end. I think I'm going to be done with this stream. It's really, really late. I'm extremely tired, and I have to be up in the morning. It is 2:20 in the morning, 2:17 in the morning. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. All right? Thank you guys for watching. This is Jeremy Tay within the DAW, and we're going to call it a night. Have a good one, guys. Bye.